Why penalty kicks break your brain. The neuroscience of choking under pressure. Imagine the biggest penalty shootout in World Cup history. Your country's best player steps up. The whole nation is watching. He scored this exact penalty in training 1,000 times. But this time, he runs up, kicks, and blazes it over the bar. How does the best player in the world miss a penalty he's made 10,000 times? The answer isn't skill. It isn't luck. It's your brain. Today we're talking about why penalty kicks break your brain, choking under pressure, analysis paralysis, and the neuroscience behind the most stressful 12 yards in sport. Let's start with choking. Not the food kind, the performance kind. Choking is when a skilled performer, under high-stakes pressure, performs significantly worse than their ability should allow. It's not nervousness. It's not lack of skill. The player has the skill. The pressure is what breaks the execution. Sports psychologist Beilock ran a famous study. She had expert golfers putt while thinking carefully about their technique. Experts who focused on their mechanics performed far worse than when they just swung naturally. The more you consciously think about a skill you've already mastered, the worse you perform it. Experts choke when they try to control what their body already knows how to do automatically. The second force? Analysis paralysis. When the stakes get high enough, your brain floods with options, and too many options cause the system to freeze. A penalty kick taker has to decide which corner, which height, which speed, run-up length, eye contact with keeper, all in seconds. In training, these decisions are automatic. Under pressure, they become conscious choices. Psychologist Barry Schwartz called this the paradox of choice. More options don't make decisions better, they make them harder. In a World Cup penalty, every extra thought is a liability. Researchers filmed 120 World Cup and European Championship penalties. Goalkeepers who stood still in the center stopped significantly more penalties than those who dived early. Yet keepers dive 94% of the time. Why do keepers dive even when standing still is statistically better? Because doing nothing feels psychologically unbearable under pressure. Action bias. We prefer action over inaction even when inaction wins. Now let's go inside the brain. When a footballer steps up to take a penalty in a World Cup semifinal, their body dumps cortisol and adrenaline into their system within seconds. Cortisol tightens muscles, narrows focus, and disrupts fine motor control, exactly the precision you need for a penalty kick. The body is preparing to run or fight, not to place a ball in the bottom corner. Meanwhile, the prefrontal cortex, the planning and execution center, gets partially shut down by the amygdala's alarm signal. The brain that practiced 10,000 penalties is no longer fully in charge. And here's the cruel irony. The higher the stakes, the more adrenaline floods the system, and the less access you have to the calm, automatic skill that got you here. Pressure doesn't test your ability, it tests your biology. There's a fourth layer that makes penalties even harder: the goalkeeper. A study found that penalty takers who make eye contact with the goalkeeper before shooting score significantly less often. Eye contact activates social threat processing. Your brain starts thinking about the human in front of you, not the target. You stop seeing the corner of the net. You start seeing a person who wants to stop you. Researchers also found that keepers who point to one corner before the kick, as a bluff, cause the shooter to miss more often. The simple act of giving information activates the kicker's decision-making brain and triggers paralysis. Let's look at the numbers. In World Cup penalty shootouts since 1982, the first team to shoot scores 75% of the time, but only 44% of players on the second team to shoot convert when their team is behind. The physical skill hasn't changed between those two kicks. The psychological context has. Stuart Gerard, a sports psychologist, found that penalty takers who visualize the exact path of the ball before stepping up score at dramatically higher rates. Neuroimaging studies show that mental rehearsal activates the same motor pathways as physical practice. A penalty taken first in your mind, calm, precise, visualized, programs the muscles before the body even moves. So what do the best penalty takers actually do differently? First, they decide before they step up. The corner, the height, the approach, decided and locked. No new information after that point. Second, they use a pre-kick routine, a specific sequence of actions that anchors calm. Placing the ball the same way, same number of steps back, same breath pattern. The routine bypasses the panicking, conscious brain. Third, they aim for the ball, not away from the keeper. Players who focus on a specific target in the goal score more often than players who try to kick it away from where the keeper dives. And fourth, they don't watch the keeper move. The moment a kicker tracks the keeper's dive, they redirect the ball and telegraph the shot. Eyes on the target, not the threat. Here's what we know. Choking happens when conscious thinking hijacks automatic skill. The brain interferes with what the body already knows. Analysis paralysis freezes decision-making when options multiply under pressure, and stress hormones physically degrade the precision and fine motor control that penalties demand. The world's best players don't miss penalties because they lose their ability. They miss because their brain, under maximum pressure, briefly loses access to that ability. Knowing this doesn't make penalties easier to watch, but it does make them easier to understand and a little easier to forgive. If this video made you see the penalty box differently, subscribe. Every week we decode the psychology behind things that feel obvious until suddenly they don't. See you next time.